Hello everyone, and today we're going to talk about the Mosin Music ST style guitar. First of all, this was sent to me by the company, so thank you to Mosin Music for that. Don't click off this video if that makes you think that I got special treatment, because I assure you I didn't. Let's just get right into the overview section of this, where I have to talk about some stuff. So the first thing is when you're buying this specific guitar, it actually comes as a kit. It comes with a bunch of accessories, and they say it's everything that you should need to get started playing guitar, and logically, yes, that would be true. So, it includes 3.6 thickness guitar picks. They have special molding on the grip. The grip also has slight curves on the top and bottom and has very slight texturing. To me, it seems very effective at increasing the grip, especially as someone who often does get sweaty hands, sweaty fingers, that sort of thing. The pick thickness is technically 0.6, but I have used a decent amount of picks in the 0.7 range, not many 0.6s technically. Either way, based on my personal experience, these picks feel a little more rigid in how they play compared to what I would expect from a 0.6 thickness guitar pick. A headstock tuner is included. It is overall okay and passable if it's your first one. The construction is a little loose on the pivot points, at least in my unit, and if the body is not placed properly, it can rattle. The function of the tuner is decent. It doesn't seem to have a constant sampling, if that is the right term, meaning that if you are moving your tuning peg on your headstock, the tuner is not going to be constantly looking for changes in that tone. It seems like it takes one or a few different samples when it senses a transient, but these are statements based on observations, not necessarily facts. It's also not a bad tuner, it's just a little less convenient than others. The accuracy doesn't seem to be an issue. It seems to get the same readings as my Diodario headstock tuner, though I did have an issue with a buzzy string, and my Diodario tuner was able to pick it up while this one was not. A mini amp is included, but we'll talk about its tones and go more in depth about its features in a separate video. It has an internal rechargeable battery, headphone out and auxiliary in, as well as Bluetooth connectivity to transmit music through the amp, single tone knob and a clean and overdrive gain channel. The Bluetooth pairing wasn't difficult, and even if you don't use the amp as an amp, it can be used as sort of a Bluetooth speaker in a pinch. The bass is a little lacking along with some of the highs, so some of the fine detail gets lost. However, the mids are great, resulting in some punchy snare and kick depending on how they were mixed in the actual song, and the vocals are often very clear and articulate, which is pretty neat. It's not the ideal listening experience, but it is still decent for general listening and can get pretty loud if you want it to. The kit also comes with a strap of decent and passable quality. The binding construction feels good with the occasional fraying. The size adjuster is plastic, so it is susceptible to accidental damage more easily, but if you're mindful of it, it shouldn't be an issue. The strap buttonholes are of medium strength, which is about the right zone where you want them. They will be able to be easily taken on and off without falling off until worn in, and I would expect them to last at least a couple years before needing a new strap or needing strap locks or blockers. It also comes with a string for tying the strap rather than using the front strap button. This is normally done on acoustic without the front strap button, but if you like it that way, you do you. And this kit allows you to do that, though the string seems a little thinner compared to others, so be aware of that as well. The kit comes with a Capo. The Capo is great quality. It has great tension and build quality in general. There are a couple things that I don't prefer on this model of Capo though, which is that the clamp shape is completely angular, so the fit is a little less fluid when applying it to the neck, but it still works. It just takes a couple more seconds longer to apply it to the neck. And the other is that the way that the construction goes, the handles face outward on the fretboard side of the guitar neck rather than the back neck side. This is just a preference and doesn't change playing much, if at all, so my gripes of this Capo are just personal preferences, and for being included with the kit, there's nothing wrong with it. The guitar comes with two sets of strings, one on the guitar already. They're possibly a little more tinny than name brand strings, but they sound fine to my ear for the most part. They also may take a bit longer to stretch out as well, but that was just based on a bit of personal experience. It also comes with a guitar cable of great quality compared to others that are usually included with guitars. It's on par with just about any other cable that you would buy separately from the guitar. The guitar comes in a case when shipped. The case is better than some others, but still not necessarily premium. It is a soft style case that has padding seemingly in all directions, which is more than some other cases can say, but it probably still won't protect the guitar against anything extensive or crazy. Still good to have though, and it's not completely just a toss-in product just to say they had a guitar case. The last things it comes with are a cloth to wipe down the guitar and its strings, the tremolo bar of course, and the hex keys to make adjustments to the guitar. So now that we got the accessories out of the way, let's talk about the actual guitar itself. I have some points I would like to mention before getting into the playing. First, the good points. The build quality of the guitar visually is great. There are some small imperfections on the back of the guitar, but most people won't be seeing that. And the front finish seems to be great as far as I could tell, though I found some tiny black specks that I was not able to wipe away. I'm not sure if they are permanent imperfections still, but they are seeming like it. But also, like I said before, they are tiny, and you have to be pretty up close to be able to see them. The electrical components are smooth and don't make excess noise out of the box. The guitar comes with single coils, but humbucks when in the combined selector positions 2 and 4. The frets seem great and they don't poke out of the sides of the neck despite having to sit out in extreme heat longer than desired due to a courier mix-up in my situation. There are no dings on the neck from what I can tell. The tuners are of decent quality. Sometimes there are places in the rotations that seem looser than others, but that also may have came down to the fact that I was using the included strings for a lot of my experience with the guitar. So now we have to talk about the faults. Sorry Mosen, but I just have to be as honest as possible with the viewer. There were only 2 out of the 6 strings that were easily removable for a string change. The others needed to be poked out with a little hex key. The high E string needed to have the hex key lightly tapped by another tool to actually get the string fully loose. I'm not fully for sure what caused this, though it seemed like it was due to some of the construction tolerances on the tremolo block, and more specifically, of course, in its string slots. There seemed to be some burrs and other imperfections in the slots of the block. I was able to reuse the factory strings after removing them, but I ended up changing the strings to Diodario nickel 10s to see if it would help another issue. The change was still fairly easy, but it was like 5% harder due to the blockages in the string slots, but still nothing really serious. Speaking of which, out of the box, the vibrato or tremolo felt very stiff, almost like it shouldn't even be moved. I poked around and found that these springs have very strong tension, so I removed one and rearranged the formation. It came in a triangle position originally, and I don't know if my positioning makes any difference, but hey, I did it, so. Like I said before, these springs are strong, so removing them was a bit of a task. So I was able to do so, but the spring went flying the first time I removed one. So just be careful when messing with these springs because they have some power behind them. There is a buzz on the low E string. Unfortunately for this guitar, the buzz seems a little more apparent in the recordings than it actually did in the room. I might make a future video about trying to loosen the truss rod on this guitar, however that will probably involve some techniques that I'm not fully for sure about, so I wanted to make the video before just to make sure that I had the guitar in a functioning state first. I tried to tune this out, but the saddles came maxed in height out of the box and the truss rod is very tight. I couldn't move the truss rod at all, so it seems effectively seized, unfortunately, in the case of my unit. This may have happened due to the courier mix-up and it sitting out in the intense heat for at least a couple hours, if not more. This was why I changed the strings to see if it would help this buzz in a sort of last resort effort. Unfortunately, the brightness of these fresh strings seems to actually amplify the buzz a bit more based on my opinion and observation. Now, I do have some good news after all of this, but it's also based on information that I'm not supposed to share with you, unfortunately, so I'm going to try and semantic lawyer talk around this. Mosin has been taking customer feedback, so they have been working on making improvements to the guitars and filtering those improved guitars into the stock. However, there are original guitars in Amazon's warehouses still. So you may get an original guitar like mine, but it is becoming more likely that you will get a guitar that addresses some of these concerns. As time goes on, the original guitars should be completely filtered out. I hope this message explains enough to satisfy you as a viewer, but also not anger Mosen as too much. Sorry, Mosin Music, but this message seemed like a good thing to me, so I thought it would be a good thing to let the viewers know about this. It also can hopefully reassure them that they may have fewer or lesser issues than I have actually had in this unit. So, with that being said, let's actually get into playing the guitar. We'll be playing using my Boss Katana Mark II. This should give us a good idea of what the guitar actually sounds like without being limited by small speakers or anything like that. We will be using the panel channel with EQ set at noon and no effects, though I do have a tube screamer and metal zone that are going to be going into the front of the amp to get some general drive sounds along the way. The tube screamer is set with the drive at around the 130 position and the tone at noon. The level is where it works for the recording, and the metal zone is set with all of the tones at noon. The drive maxed, and the volume again where it needs to be for the recording. So, with all that being said, let's finally play this thing. So yeah, unfortunately there's that buzz. It mainly affects the first fret fretting position. Even open strings are pretty good, but it did seem to be worse before actually on the open strings. Oh, there it is. But yeah, it really affects these first fretting positions. So that was starting on the middle position. Let's go to the neck position. Go to the bridge position. Very twangy. Sorry if that sounded bad, I just wasn't really thinking about what I was doing. I was just going with the flow. Don't know how well it worked out. There's your basic positions. Let's go to position 2, which would be the bridge and the middle. Couldn't reach over. Anyway, you got that idea. Cool. Now position 4, which should be the neck and the middle. I lost it. I had something, but I'm losing it. Because I am in drop D, but for some reason I am having difficulty tuning this up to the proper place. My A string did come loose. Let me retune. So now with that done, let's put on some drive. This is on the middle pickup position. Damn it. Bridge pickup. Neck pickup. Position 2. couldn't find the harmonic spot. I think you get the idea there. Now, let's turn on the middle zone, middle position pickup. Bridge pickup. I had to ruin it right at the end. Bridge pickup. Position 2. hopefully I provided you with some usable tones that you can actually listen to and see if it even sounds good as a guitar. I try to provide at least a little bit of variety, and overall I think that this could be a very good beginner guitar, especially for the price. Unfortunately, I did experience some strange issues that are kind of for advanced players to deal with, or at least it would cost possibly more in luthier fees than it would for even just the guitar. But then again, if you buy it from a place like Amazon, you could return it and you might get an even better version. So I think this could be a good purchase, but that comes down to your situation, your preferences, all that sort of stuff. But if you do plan to purchase this guitar, please use the link in the description below, which is an affiliate link. It would really help me out if you use it, because I don't make any money off of these videos currently. This channel is normally a guitar, drums, 3D printing, and who knows what else channel, whatever I want generally. So if any of that sounds good, please consider subscribing. There are also other ways in the description to help support me and help me out, so please check those out as well if you are interested. If you found this video informational, please leave a like. That's all I have to say for now, so I'm gonna say bye-bye.